Painting an animal eye tutorial. How to go from this to this in a few easy steps. These are the colours I'm going to be using today, so dark brown, black, white and yellow. I'm also going to be using blue. This is the yellow I'll be using today, and I'm very sorry I cannot pronounce that. So let's get to our painting. I'll take the one I've painted earlier and we will just go and work through this one. To start off, I'm going to grab some white and I'm going to mix that with black to create grey. I don't want it to be very grey, I just want it to be a little bit darker than white. This is just going to be the white part of the eye, and the reason why I would want it to be a little bit darker than pure white is, well, nobody's eye is white. This is just going to make it look a little bit more natural and less cartoony. So I did actually blob my paint a little bit here because I am painting at a very awkward angle. Mistakes like that are very easily fixed with a little bit more black, which I'm going to do here. I'm going to use this black just to draw the outline of the eye and even out the white part. There we go. Good thing it's so easy to fix. So next I'm going to mix some brown, I'm very sorry it's off camera here, with black. I want to create a darker shade of brown so it would blend better with the black that's around the eye. Just giving it a good mix. I will then apply this dark brown paint just around the eye. And blending it a little bit with the black as well, just to make it a bit smoother. You would want to go all the way around the eye. I do hope you're enjoying the tutorial so far. You can always let me know in the comments, and if there's any other tutorials you're interested in seeing, you can let me know in the comments too. I am planning on adding more tutorials in the future, so if you do have any requests, I'd happily hear them. Back to painting. I'm just going to add a little bit more black just around the edges. This is just to help me with blending. Since acrylics do dry quite fast, I do like to add multiple layers of the colours I'm blending together just to make sure they blend fine. If you're struggling with the same, hopefully this helps you get past that. Acrylics do tend to do this to me, so either they don't dry fast enough and I'm sat there waiting for it to dry so I can start painting, or they dry too fast and I just can't catch up. Either way, they seem to never be on my side. Right, nearly done with this part. So now I'm going in with brown and I'm going to go around the edges of the dark brown. Again, I would want to blend them two together as much as I can. It's easier to do with the little circular motions, as you can see I'm doing here, just to make sure it's a smooth transition between colours. If you are wondering about my brushes, yeah, I don't wash them. I'd like to think I'm not that lazy, but it does serve me a purpose. By not washing them, it does make my brushes quite solid, but it does help me with some certain details that you'll see later on. I'm now going to grab the yellow. I like using the yellow on brown eyes just because I feel like it enhances the eye a bit more. It adds a good definition and just makes it a lot brighter. I had a little excess I had to wipe off my brush. So now I'm just going to blend it all in. The key with the yellow is you don't want to add too much. You just want it to be barely there, but just enough. Also, I always add it just on the bottom of the eye. I don't tend to go all the way around with it. I feel like this way it would make the eye a lot more 3D. So now I'm ready to go in with the black. This is the pupil. No blending required for this one, just a black circle in the middle of the eye. However, different animals do have different pupil shapes, so bear that in mind on the animal that you're drawing. For example, cows, horses and goats have a rectangular shaped pupil. As it is wet paint, we are getting a little bit of reflection on the black part, which is making the eye look better. However, it is not going to dry this way. So we would need to paint the reflection ourselves. I personally think doing a reflection is my favourite part of the eyes because it just enhances it so much compared to obviously as we see here. And it would add the extra realism. So for the reflection, we are going to use blue paint. I forgot to add it to my palette earlier, so I am sorry about that. Personally, I'm not picky on the shade of blue. I just tend to use whichever, since we are going to mix it anyway. So I'm looking to create a sort of grey-ish blue shade. So I'm just adding a little bit of black to my blue. As you can see, it's making dark blue. Then I'm going to add white just to lighten it up. And some more white. I think color mixing is one of the hardest parts about being an artist, is trying to figure out which colors and which shades create the color you want. I just added a bit of grey that I mixed earlier, so it's just white and black mixed grey. And since I'm still not satisfied, I'm just adding a bit more black. We will get there, I promise. And a bit more. It's always quite tricky to try and get the correct shade that you're looking for. I'm finally happy with the blue that I've got here, so I'm just going to go back to the eye. Just moving it all back into place. So now we're going to do a reflection. With the blue, we are looking to add that to the top of the eye, so I would look at where your pupil is and do the top half of the pupil. There you go, so just dab in a bit of blue to cover the top. I always tend to go for sort of a rectangular shape instead of like an oval. Unfortunately, I don't know what to call the shape, but you can see what it looks like. Also, you don't want to blend the blue with any other colours you have there. I'm just wiping off the excess paint. So now I'm just going in with the white, and I'm going to mix it with the grey I made earlier. And this is just going to be part of the clouds in the reflection. If the eye was a bit bigger than this, I would try and create proper shapes. However, because it is so small, it is quite difficult unless you have a toothpick to paint with. And I did a random white blob there. I tend to like to have two parts of the reflection on the eye. One small part and one big part. I'm just going to add a little bit more blue on top of my white, as I did add too much. But a good thing about painting is that if you make any mistakes, you can just paint over them. So I'm going to use a different brush now, and this is a brush I usually paint lines with. Just dab the excess black just so it doesn't smudge. So with quite a soft hand, I'm just dabbing this across the eye. So these are the eyelashes. Now I'm going to add some extra towards the right side of the eye. This brush is the reason why I don't wash my brushes. I'm just going to get some more black, and I'm going to just define the bottom eyelid a little bit more. And don't worry, we're nearly done. We just have a few more steps to go. So this is my second favorite part to do. I'm going to grab some white, and I'm going to dab little lines or dots on the bottom of the eye, and I'm going to do it on the right side of the eye. Nothing excessive, just a few little bits here and there. This is basically the reflection of the wetness of the eye. And here we have it. This is a pretty basic version, however it does make any eye look good. Personally, I like to add a bit more details to my eye. But let me know what you think, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching!